All right, everyone, welcome in. This is take 2 with this week's free card class. This is Anna Marie, Just Stamp with Anna Marie, and it looks like I'm having some technical difficulties with the sound. So if you have rejoined me, I'm going to give it a second so people can find me. And if you have rejoined and you can hear me, can you give me a thumbs up or some kind of indication that you can hear? Because I went through some of the motions earlier with a warning from someone who said there was no sound, and then I got confirmation again. So if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, whatever it happens to be. Just let me know that you can hear. I'm hoping this one goes a little bit better, and I'm going to bring you up just a tiny bit as well. So let's see how it's looking now. This is the card we are creating, and I'm going to backtrack in just a second. So let me know if you can hear. Let's try this again. And I'm going to post a question. And let's have a try, and don't know how it's going to work out. I should have had my microphone handy just in case. So if you can hear, let me know. Giving it a second. This is the pretty card we're creating. It's a little magical card. And not sure what's up with the technical difficulties other than the wind that's going on in Southern California. Okay, still checking. No response. Magical card. And Southern California. Okay, so I'm thinking you can hear me this time, right? Hopefully you can give me some indication if that's the case. So this is the card we're making, and I did share with you earlier, take 1, the stamp set and the bundle that we're working with. So this is Terrific Toadstools. It has the coordinating bundle. It is in the new mini catalog. And I'm also using some of the paper that's available for free in Saleabration during the promotional period. You can pick as one of your free items the Toadstool Gardens 6x6 paper pack. It's free with a $60 order. And as well, let me just mention, not only is the paper free, this card class is free this week. If you place a $40 order with me, you can get the card kit for free. Kick it up to $60 and you're going to get the free Saleabration pick. So let's go back and rewind a little bit. I am working on a basic white. This is thick. That's my card base. My stamping layer is basic white. It measures 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And I've already stamped it with tuxedo black ink, popping up to say hi. And I stamped some of the leaf branches that are from the stamp set itself. I placed some on my layer, and then I've got a couple that I'm going to do. Oh, I did stamp them already. We are going to be fussy cutting these. So let me snip that. We'll do some fussy cutting in just a moment. And I'm going to do my other stamping as well. So let me remove that. I'm going to come in and stamp my stems. And one can be punched. But what I'd like to do is stamp off. And I'm looking around. I had a piece of chipboard earlier, and I've moved it already. Oh my gosh. How can someone lose something within a 2-foot area? Here we go. So I'm going to stamp off. This is crumb cake, 2nd generation. I felt that the full force was too much. You might agree or disagree. So there's the difference. Stamped off and not stamped off. There is a punch for this, so I don't need to punch that. And I also need to stamp the larger stem for the larger mushroom. And this one, also a 2nd generation, does not have a punch, so I'm going to have to fussy cut that. Let's do my mushroom caps. So the smaller mushroom is an early espresso. And there is a punch for this, so let's see if I can do let's see, down at the bottom. And hopefully this will work out. I'm going to do my larger mushroom cap in pumpkin pie. So it's a great day for crafting here in Southern California. The weather still is very blustery. And let's see, that's going to be really tight here. That's okay. Tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to snip that. So I've got my pumpkin pie cap, and I'm going to go ahead and trim that off before I punch. So this is the one I'm going to hand snip. And I'm just going to do my hand snipping before I punch that pumpkin pie cap. Coming in really close. And the good news is, well, I'll show you as I punch the caps. The punch is actually smaller than the stamped image. So if you're one of those crafters that doesn't like the extra white space around an image, this is the punch for you. So I'm not sure if that's you. It works out really pretty that way sometimes. So I'm trimming this the same manner, not leaving any extra white space. I'm going to put that there. And now I can do the punching. And so I always like to turn my image upside down, or sorry, the punch upside down so I can see right through. And this is what I mean. You're not going to see any white around that image. You do want to balance out your image so that it's kind of centered. And then I'm going to do the pumpkin pie. And I'm going to bring that there. All right. So we've done our stamping and our punching. Oh, we have one mushroom stem we can punch. It's the smaller stem. Hold on to it because they do go flying. All right, so I have all my pieces there, and I just need to do a little bit more fussy cutting before we start assembling. So I've got 2 of the leaf branches that I stamped. And I'm not seeing any comments. I'm hoping you can hear me okay. Let's see. I've got there. Oh, I do have comments, so let's see. They're just not showing up yet. Let me double check. So I'm on the wrong one. Let's see. I still haven't received any I got lots of comments from the first take. This is actually take 2. I had to log out and start up again. So, and I'm hoping if you could let me know that you are here. Oh, thank you, Carol. I most appreciate you. reaching out and commenting because it's kind of, it's nerve-wracking. Oh, good. I'm glad that you ordered it. You're going to love it. And that was, who was that said they ordered it? Margaret. So I think you're going to like it, Margaret. Lots of options, and it's very colorful, very whimsical, quite a fun set to have. And I think you're either a fan of mushrooms or you're not. And that goes for whether it's art or whether it's edibles. Thank you, Margaret, for telling me you can hear me. I appreciate that. I know, and I think I have it here. Mushrooms come and go trend-wise. I think they were popular in the 60s, maybe 70s. And I know that because when I was clearing out my grandmother's home, and this was back during COVID, so 2020, it was quite an ordeal. My grandmother lived to be over 100, and when she passed away, she had been living in her home for, I would say, 70 years, maybe. It was her only home. And she had lots of stuff. I don't think she ever eliminated anything from her collections. And among some of the things in her kitchen were these canisters. And it was a complete set, nice condition, super cute, and I could tell they were old. And they were one of the few things that I held on to because there was so much in the house. And lots of treasures, but of course, you can't save everything, right? But this little set is something that caught my eye. And when I went to check on the internet about it, it still is quite desirable. There are some on eBay that are a little bit pricey. And here I was lucky enough to inherit these, so to speak, from my grandmother. And it's in nice condition, this little canister set. And who thought it? Who would have thought it? They have made a comeback in popularity. So yeah, I think, Carol, that you're going to love this set. As I said, it's pretty whimsical. And you can do it colorfully or you can do it in natural tones, but it is going to be very versatile. And I love the little sentiment popping up to say hi. So very fun. Carol, so she remembers the canisters. I bet. And I actually have mine on my tabletop. Look, how fun. Whoops, you can see my candy that flies out. Look at that adorable canister set. I love the colors on these. And, whoops, my candy's falling out. I tried to mimic those mushroom caps in today's project. So that's where that comes from. All right, so there's my basic. I don't know, it tells about your age or maybe your preferences, because this is probably go around 2 or 3 with those mushrooms. And as I said, I inherited from my grandmother. So, and I think it's I love the canisters and I love the fact that they belonged to my grandmother. So, all right, so let's get started. We're going to do a little bit more, but let me interrupt this assembly to introduce you to these markers. Like, these are all my markers. I have all of the markers when I first became a demonstrator back in 2001, and I started having workshops, clubs. One of the things I offered was the marker club. If you joined in, you could get one of the marker families, and they were a little bit pricey. I don't remember how much they were. But after the 4 months, you could own the entire markers collection and that cool carrier that Stampin' Up! Used to have. So forward to 2025, There is a new offer with these markers during the celebration period. If you aren't already a demonstrator and you have lots of things on your wish list, this is a great way to tackle that wish list. There are two options if you want to join Stampin' Up, and let me just interject. When I joined back in 2001, the price to buy a kit was over $200. So it was pricier. It wasn't the deal it is today. And I wasn't able to select really what I wanted, not to the abilities you can today. Now this kit is just $99. And during Saleabration, Stampin' Up has spiced up the kit with a couple of options. You can choose 2 marker families, plus this little handmade design stamp set to add on to your basic kit. Or if you're not interested in the markers, you can choose to add an additional $30 in free product. So if you do the math, this is a much greater value. But if you don't want the markers, you don't need the markers, you can always go for the extra $30 in product. And I will say, even though my kit was more expensive back in 2001, it has been the best investment I have made ever. Not because of the monetary value, but everything else that comes with being a part of Stampin' Up. The discount is just the start. I have gotten so many returns from Stampin' Up, way beyond the discount and the money that I save all the time. So all that to say, here's what I'm pulling out. I'm pulling out a couple of my markers. I'm going to spice up these little mushroom caps, starting with the brown one. And here's where I got my motif from. I just showed you that sweet little canister set. So I've got the brown mushroom with the yellow spots, and then I'm going to have that pumpkin pie mushroom with the early espresso dots. So I'm taking the brush tip. I'm just going to fill in the little white spots on the mushroom cap. So this is Daffodil Delight. My markers are not the most recently released. These are older markers, and so the tips are a little bit different. The new markers have a bigger tip, not just a writing tip, but more of a bullet point that has a wider reach. And I'm not sure if I'm a fan. I know I like the ability to write, but I also like the wider tip. It doesn't dry out as quickly. So I just added my yellow spots. Then I'm going to bring in my early espresso, and I am going to make these a little bit more large. They're kind of small right now, so I'm just going to use the brush tip, and I'm going to go in and make a wider spot just randomly. They don't have to be circular, just enlarging them to make them count, right? So I've got a bigger spot on my mushroom caps. And I like the way it adds a little bit more color. And I'm also going to bring in my Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to bring in and color with the pen tip, that little division between the cap and the underside of the mushroom. So there we go. So that has just been spruced up a little bit. I am ready to assemble my focal point art. And I'm going to start by adding flat layers, I like to call them. And so one of them is going to be just like so. And this is totally your prerogative where you want to arrange them. It's kind of like flower arranging. There's no right or wrong. I will say it's helpful to have your little tweezers nearby to hold this tiny branch. And I'm just going to put a little dot of liquid glue, my favorite, right? There we go. And by the way, if you're coming in late, I did have to restart because there was no audio earlier. Not sure why. And I'm not even sure what I did to remedy the situation. That's just the way technology works sometimes. So sometimes technology is helpful and sometimes it's a hindrance. We all know that, right? All right, then, so I added one of those little leaf branches. Then I'm going to bring in my larger mushroom stem. And I'm not going to add glue at the top because I want it to overlap over the mushroom camp. I want it to be inside. So this comes down right around here. There. And what I'm going to do, this pumpkin pie, the one in the back, is flat. So I'm just going to add liquid glue, and I'm going to bring it in. See how I'm going to bring the stem itself to the front. And so this was what I was shooting for, to have my little leaf pop in from behind. There we go. All right, so then I'm going to add the stem to the smaller mushroom. This one's going to be popped up with dimensionals, so that stem is very narrow. So here's what I've done. I've just taken a small snip from my mini dimensional sheet, and I'm going to add that to the stem. And let's see if I can add, peeling that back, and there we go. And this is going to come down a little bit lower, up to, let's see if I want my, I was trying to pick up the wrong mushroom, but want this to be a little bit lower in here. So I'd say probably around there. The mushroom cap also is going to be adhered with dimensionals. So I'm using 3 at each tip. Oops, that one just took the, let's see, where did I get it from? So if you came in late, no worries. I will probably refilm this to make the card from the beginning. I hope you will stay until the end. This is, and I may be repeating what you've already heard, this is card 1 in my free card class this week. Tomorrow I will be sharing card number 2 at 9 a.m. And Wednesday I will share project number 3 at 9 a.m. And then I usually have a little bonus project that I'd like to share. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. On Friday. And Friday is happy hour time at 4. So you might have heard California is going through, or Southern California is going through quite a few fires, and there is smoke in the air. I'm about 54 miles. Excuse me. I'm about 54 miles from the nearest fire, but we are starting to get the smoke, and I can tell now because that's why I've got a little cough going on. And I think I'm going to do another branch to put at the front of the mushroom stem. So I'm just going to hand stamp quickly. So yeah, today the winds have kicked up again. And so if you're listening on the replay, today is January 13. So I don't want to alarm anybody that might catch the replay at a later date. Live today, there are still harsh winds going on. I haven't been tuning into the news the entire time like I had been previously because, yeah, it is just absolutely devastating. It's heartbreaking to see the number of people that have lost their homes and lost their lives, their community, their job places gone. And when you see the aerial shots, it's just no words can describe it. So that luckily my county has escaped. There have been some small fires in the area that they managed to get under control right away. There was one not too far from home this morning, but they had it out fast. I live across the street from a golf course, and some of that grass is a little bit dry. And so there's a lot of concern about possibilities. Yeah, Carol, right now, there's lots of events going on where you just have to hope that things get better and there's a turn. All right, so this one I'm going to put right here. I'm going to put it, layer it up with dimensionals. But yes, and what keeps me going is to take my mind off of all of these things, all of these events that are going on. Stay close to home and enjoy doing what I like to do. Tomorrow, if you were watching on take one, you know that I am part care provider for my 85-year-old mother. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have committed to being the sister who takes mom to see dad and maybe out to lunch. Some days are salon days, just whatever mom wants to do, because mom has been told by her daughters that she can no longer drive. It's just not safe, I feel. So, and what I'm doing is trying to avoid stacking over my wording. So there you go. All right. Yes, Margaret, my husband reminds me of the situation in North Carolina as well, and things don't happen overnight. Solutions don't happen overnight. So, all right, so there's my focal point art. I am matting it on my designer series paper. I took the multicolored dots paper, and it's about 1/4 of an inch bigger than my basic white layer. This is going on with flat adhesive, and I'm so proud of myself. I have been getting along with my Seal Plus lately. If I'm behaving, I guess it's the boss of me. So there are things I do to help myself. One is to place some kind of a chipboard or my piercing mat underneath. Whoops, my coffee almost got knocked over. Oh, what a day. Disasters that happen while you're crafting. Does that happen to you too, or just me? All right, so it's about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and it picks up the colors that are in my mushrooms. Then I'm going to bring in my card base, and I previously folded it. It is 5.5 by 8.5. I'm going to add the reverse side of that dotted paper is stripes with the same coloring. This goes on again with flat adhesive. So bringing in my mat again and my tape. Whoops. Oh my gosh. I thank you. If you're still here, I thank you so much for joining me, because I know it was a little harrowing at the beginning with no sound. So this is going to be placed about 1.5 inches from the base. So let's see, right around there. And I use my grid paper to help me ensure that I'm sticking it on kind of straight, right? You don't want it crooked, not too wonky anyway. And this is my chance to fix if I didn't quite cut precisely. I will trim this off, just like so. And then my focal point goes on with dimensionals. And these are going to be standard size. Oh, thank you, Margaret. Margaret says, very pretty card. I like the white with the bright colors. And the coordination of the color from the paper to the mushrooms and how I decided to color them brings out those colors. So again, you could put this on colored cardstock. It would probably look quite colorful on Melon Mambo, which I love, and which had been taking a break in my craft room, but it's back. And you could add quite a bit more color. So I've got about 3/4 of an inch border all the way around. There we go. So there is the card. Now, there are options. On my original, I chose not to embellish. And look, they're almost the same, not quite. But I know one of the little embellishments that are super sweet are these tiny bee trinkets. And you get quite a few in the container. They're gold. And so I toyed with the possibility of adding. I'm a minimalist, so to me, one is good. What do you think? Should I put multiples on? Should I do that rule of 3? I don't know. I like the minimal style. So I'm going to do this with a glue dot. The glue dot, I don't know if you can see, is bigger than the bee trinket because these are absolutely tiny bees. They are truly tiny bees. And so far I can use my fingers. You might need to use a tool. And there you go. There is card number 1 in this week's free class. You can get the kit for free by placing an order with the host code that I'll place up above this video. And I will send you the kit to make all of the cards in the class. I'll be sharing with you one card per day. And I want to thank the shoppers who shopped with me last week and got my free heart-shaped class. Trust me, I am cutting them and sending them out today. And I'm also cutting and sending out the paper share stacks as well. Thank you. Margaret says 1 as well. So you and I agree. I think, 2, 3 might be overkill. I like just the 1, the simplicity, because let's face it, the star of the card is these terrific mushrooms. Thank you, Carol, so she loves the card. I appreciate that. And I think they are the stars. I think those who order this bundle are really going to enjoy it. It's so easy to craft with. Lots of pretty cards popping up to say hi. There's also just a little thank you, which are great sentiments for the cards we need. Tomorrow, I will be sharing with you another card and more possibilities. So I hope that you can join me tomorrow, 9 a.m. If you can't join me at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, of course, fingers crossed, everything goes well tomorrow with my sound and Facebook. But you can always catch the videos on YouTube, Just Stamp with Anna Marie. If you haven't visited that channel, I invite you to do so. There's lots of tutorials there. And you can even subscribe so that you get notified when I post new videos. All right, my friends, I thank you for spending some time with me. Stay safe, stay warm and dry. And for those of you on the other side of the country who are suffering as well from the weather events, all my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone around. Thanks so much for joining.